Hello, sweet viewers. I'm Christine from Kimbap TV, empowering you to live a happier and safer life, especially if you're a fellow domestic violence survivor. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to a special friend who is zooming in all the way from Chicago, Illinois. Her name is Ji-Hye Kim, and she is Executive Director for Can Win, which is a nonprofit that helps domestic violence survivors as well as sexual assault survivors. And she really focuses on helping Asian Americans, especially those who are monolingual. And so I wanted to check in with her and learn about how COVID-19 has affected domestic violence victims and survivors in the Chicago area. Hi, Ji-Hye.
How are you?
Good. I can't imagine all the changes that had to suddenly take place.
Oh, it was crazy. We just had our 30th anniversary. We had a huge gala, and then a week after the gala, we all went into quarantine. Immediately upon our team detecting that pandemic was really gonna come and impact our clients, we went straight into crisis mode and started assessing our clients' need, whether they have the health insurance, even their emergency contacts. So doing that really helped us determine who we can provide financial assistance to and in what ways we can help. We're constantly listening to our clients and wanted to find like real anecdotes and data on how the clients are feeling. So we conducted anonymous survey in a variety of languages like Korean, Chinese, Japanese, Russian, Arabic, adults and children. People might think, oh yeah, it's obvious people have financial issues and things like that. But when you combine that with PTSD, a lot of people have after violent relationships or the loss of opportunities when many of them were working towards self-sufficiency, but all of a sudden all of that is, taken away. And then our child clients, especially worried about the health of their parents. If their mothers get COVID, where are they going to go? Who's going to take care of them? We learned a lot about their needs and how we can best serve them in a time like this.
Is there a specific client or former client that you have in mind?
We have a client with 4 very little children. She's all alone taking care of the kids. So at the beginning of pandemic, she had lost her job, couldn't go to grocery store because how would you teach little kids to social distance, or some of them too young to wear masks. So that was really stressful for her. We made sure that, she got groceries and household items, toilet paper and all of that on a regular basis. Our advocate helped with like unemployment benefit, but because of language barrier, literally you would have to do like a screenshot of a form, email it to her, and then go through it by phone. So that took like 3 times more time than somebody who could speak English. And then being stuck at home with the children at all times, 24/7, of course, that's going to get stressful.
One of the things that you had listed here was tips for supporting survivors.
Yeah, I found it really touching that in the surveys, our current clients were worried about survivors who are out there, who are maybe in abusive homes and are not connected to Can Win. So they really wanted either Can Win or some other service to be available by phone or text or some other safe means that would allow the survivor to talk to somebody without the perpetrator or harmed doer interfering or listening in, and really letting somebody who is in that situation know that you're there for them, that there is hope.
In a lot of these cases, are they tempted to go back to their abuser?
There are many, many different reasons why somebody would want to go back. It's between really stark choices. Either go back to the harm doer and have a home to stay, or become homeless, or never see your children again. So those are often the choices, and survivors have to make choices in order to survive.
During your 10 years at Can Win, I can't imagine how many people you've helped during that time.
At Can Win, we usually have like upwards of 250 to 300 hotline calls a year, and then around 200 or more adult and children survivors who get comprehensive services, immigration, housing, all the child custody and protection orders and things like that.
Have you been affected by the pandemic in terms of funding or, grants or things like that?
We have very loyal supporters but many of them have lost jobs or their businesses have been affected. So our entire community is hurting. In terms of grants, there's a lot of like COVID-19 funding, so we applied to a lot of those.
Why is it important for this awareness to really get out there during a time like this?
Because there are so many people who are suffering in silence and suffering because our communities don't pay enough attention or provide the right type of support, and because gender-based violence is increasing amidst pandemic. Globally, I think the statistic is like 25%. And we actually had 25% increase in our hotline calls between April and June, so right after the quarantine. And Illinois Domestic Violence Helpline, they also experienced 15% increase. So it's just rising and the needs are great. So we had to scramble to make sure that people get housed. Homeless shelters are almost like 100% full. Domestic violence shelters were also full as well. And because of the social distancing requirements, they had to close parts of their shelters in order to make sure that there is space. But then that means not as many people can get in there. So housing people through hotels or temporary shelters and things like that became extremely urgent. And even new cases like parents and children, especially between parents and teenagers, when it was volatile, throw into that mix being all together 24/7 in the same household, dealing with each other. Some of that could escalate into abuse. So yeah, a lot of people need help and a lot of people need a safe outlet to be able to talk about their issues and know that there's help available.
And are you and your staff okay mental health wise? Because I mean, just hearing about all of these obstacles that your clients are facing are stressing me out. But having to be there in direct contact with them and trying to help them navigate, I'm sure that takes a toll on you and your colleagues.
That's one of our biggest priorities, to make sure our staff can feel like they have support and they can really check in with each other. We've implemented a number of like self-care policies and provided some, subsidies and things like that. But one of the things that's like the hardest is because many of us are remote and we go into the office on a staggered style, so we can't all be together, and there's no water cooler talk moment where you can just check in with each other randomly and chit chat. Like, that's not happening, and that's really stressful because even to vent you have to make an appointment. And then you have to be like, let's do Zoom.
Wow, I can only imagine. Yeah. And out of curiosity, how many Asian Americans are there in the Chicago area?
I'm from Seattle, and in Seattle, sometimes you feel like you're in the majority because you turn your head and there's an Asian person. But that doesn't happen here.
On that topic, have you or any of your staff or clients experienced anti-Asian sentiment because of COVID-19?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'm scared to go out myself without the entire family just because of what's going on. Our former coworker, she said like a child walked up to her and spat at her out of nowhere, like an elementary school kid. And where would that little child learn to do that? So that kind of ridiculous incidents really making you feel like you don't belong here.
How can people help, in a meaningful way for this cause right now?
It would be wonderful if people with Asian language capacities who are bilingual can get trained to become hotline volunteers, being available by phone when somebody needs help. Just to provide that listening support is going to be so important. Or gathering household items or food items for the survivor families and making sure that we get to share what we have if you are in the position to be able to share. And being part of the movement by learning about the issue and talking to people about this issue, the more and more that you know about what's going on in our society, especially because right now there's like one of the biggest political uprising and racial equity issues, and you see that everything's related. These social justice issues are related, and it's turning out to be like you can't trust the system. Then what kind of system do you want? To be able to be part of that conversation and to learn more about it so that we can create a community that we want instead of relying on what is, turning out to be not working at all.
Unfortunately, it's a crisis that's bringing us back together, but it's also my new mission to want to, dedicate a large chunk of my life doing this, because I think the most important stories that you can tell are ones that can actually tangibly help somebody else. And coming from my background, and I try to run from my survivor label. I just wanted to go on and do something totally different. But the more I tried to go away from it, the more people got placed in my life where I felt so convicted that I couldn't sleep at night because of it, and it just confirmed to me the importance of using my skills and my background to do something that's more than just something for myself.
Yeah, well, I'm so thankful that you are doing this and for your courage. Yeah, I know there's so many people who do want to put an end to it and then move on, but it's hard. Either way, it's very difficult, but to embrace it like that, it's gonna give so many people courage.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. Well, I'll let you get back to your husband and your 2 kiddos.
Yeah, it was great talking to you.
Thanks so much for spending some time with me today. And thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, can you give it a thumbs up and share it with someone you know? And make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that I can greet you more often. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.